great to be here to celebrate something, to celebrate and launch something that is going to map, that is going to guide our future and what we will try to do over the next year and also over the next 5 years. And as the Permanent Secretary said, we have to be forward-looking. We have to be forward-looking in life. We have to know what's out there that we want to achieve, and we have to go out there and to achieve it. So to all of us this morning, Nisam Pulubinaka, and a very good morning to you all. Today, as has been espoused, as has been explained, we are celebrating some of our achievements, some of our milestones, and I want to thank you all for being here and for everybody that's been involved in these milestones. Thank you for your commitment to put all of this together. As the arm of government that's responsible for modernizing the labor market and providing better conditions and social justice at the workplace, today is testimony of the progress that we have done in all of these areas. And I also want to commend our tripartite partners, representatives of unions and of employers and of other government agencies, for continuing to cultivate social dialogue, because this is something that we believe in very strongly. Dialogue is always essential, especially in terms of industrial relations, especially in terms of building a country. Dialogue is always essential. And we're thankful that our tripartite partners have engaged with us in that social dialogue, where we can discuss ideas and come up with common things that we can try to address to build the better Fiji that we all want to see. When we look back at our past decade, we can see that we have been progressive, and we have modernized our labor market and labor laws, providing that much needed social justice at the workplace through such social dialogue. So I extend my appreciation to all the social partners. We have been committed in our reforms over this past decade, or more than a decade, and we continue to review and make changes to our legislations, our systems and processes, performance indicators and organizational structures to ensure our relevance and to ensure also, very importantly, that we improve service delivery. Today is a day of reflection and hope, seeing how far we have come, where we are now, and where we hope to head into. The world around us is changing. The pace of change is very fast. And this fast-changing global environment requires us, and I mean all of us, to also change. We can't afford to do things as business as usual. To continue to do that will be a disaster. Our labor market needs to be on par with a fast-changing global environment. Globalization creates many opportunities. However, it is those that adapt quickly and open up their networks and relationship to the new economic wave that have benefited from globalization. Also, in technology advancements, new jobs and skills will be provided. However, again, it is those that adapt quickly to these changes and develop the right skills and workplaces that can capitalize on these new opportunities. And this is the challenge for our country, to be able to adapt, to be able to know what's going to happen in the future, and to be able to make sure that we are there to be able to take advantage of those changes. If we want to see where the future of work lies, we can't go past the discussions on Industry 4.0, which is the rage around the world, which is the digital transformation, or the so-called fourth industrial revolution on automation and data exchange in manufacturing technology, including the internet, smart factories, and smart cities. It's all about artificial intelligence now. Before you know now they have buses that don't need drivers. They have taxis that don't need drivers. You know that? Yeah, these are the changes that are happening. Now you have, even hotels are changing. You heard about Airbnb? Big sorts of challenges all over the world. The way in which the work is taking place in the world is beginning to change. So we in our country must be ready for that. When we also talk about the future of work, we also can't go past the discussions on the millennials. Some of you are probably millennials, eh? People with no hair like me, we are well past the millennial stage. The millennials that will form an important part of our workforce now and into the future. These are the generation born in the early 80s. I really feel old when I say this. But the early 1980s, the mid-1990s, and the early 2000s that are identified with increased use of communications, media, and digital technologies. These are people who have very fast thumbs, very fast thumbs. While the baby boomers, or those closer to my generation, started work to gain stability, raise a family, and settle down, today's young workers or millennials instead are more concerned with finding happiness and fulfillment in their work lives. That's according to a survey. This global scenario calls for proactive and innovative human resource solutions that target specific needs. So it's good to see that the NTPC that is here and the Ministry of Education that has to be part of that role. This is well summarized by the 2018 Global Talent Trend Study by Mercer, and I quote, "When we are living digitally, working flexibly," and this is also a challenge for us in ILO, as the way in which companies engage people that produce value for them changes from the normal relationships to one where you have the introduction to the gig economy, where people are always working as in subcontract all the time. So these are some of the challenges that we have. Working flexibly, being rewarded uniquely, we will unlock growth in the human age. While on the subject of youth, or the young, who form half of our population, the unemployment rate for our youth unemployment is at a high. It's at 18.1%, whereas overall unemployment in our country, we all know, is at 4.5%. Youth unemployment and underemployment affect not only the young, but also employers, communities, and the economy. In this new financial year, my ministry will vigorously promote volunteerism among our population, particularly targeting the young to be able to make a difference in their lives and communities, and at the same time build their skills, competence, and confidence. And I will also say that in our plans, we have a lot of emphasis on raising the labor force participation of women, which has been a challenge in the past. Try to address the engagement of people with special needs into the workforce. That has been we've had the enactment of that particular law about people with disabilities, and also to see how we can engage the elderly more into generating productive growth in our country by having income earning opportunities for them. The millennial, or the young generation, or Generation Z, or Z if you're American, will bring changes to the workplace. This generation is all about out-of-the-box thinking and using multiple channels and tools to find solutions. These workers have been brought up with access to everything with the touch of a fingertip, and they always expect things to happen instantly. Those of us that were born in the 60s knows that if you plant a tree, you're not going to get the fruit today. You're going to get it 10 years down the line. Eh? But young ones today, maybe some in this crowd, they expect things differently, I think. These workers have been brought up with access to everything through the touch of a fingertip, and it's because of this that they won't feel the need to wait for direction or instruction like generations before. They also don't measure productivity by being constrained to a desk, and we want to see flexibility as they view themselves as valuable freelancers. And that's a challenge for us. That's how the world of work is changing. More and more people are doing work on their own, working in networks with others. So this traditional relationship between employer and employee is beginning to change. That's going to be a challenge that we will have to try to address. As we talk about future directions, future of work, and millennials that form an important part of the future workforce, labor mobility will have to be well managed. As the global labor force demographics change due to aging, technology, artificial intelligence, and changing choices of the generations Y and Z, there will be more labor mobility opportunities globally. And this is what we're seeing. A lot of countries in the world now, most of the people are very old, they can't contribute to the workforce, they are looking for people to come from countries such as ours. So we will have to make use of that opportunity. But at the same time, very importantly, we must not compromise the skill requirements, the labor requirements of our own industries here in Fiji. We can't send all of our best out of the country, because it is our industries in Fiji that pay taxes, that generate the growth that keeps our country going. So it's going to be a challenge for us. Identify opportunities outside and make sure that we keep the kind of skills that we need to keep our own industries going, because that's where we earn the income that is needed to offer the services that we have to our country. Climate change is another global force that we have to manage well, particularly in the Pacific and small island states. Like other global forces, climate change also brings about new opportunities. It brings a whole lot of challenges, but within those challenges there are also opportunities. Within the challenge there's opportunities. Opportunities such as green growth, green jobs, and green skills, to name a few. And this is something, as an agency that is focused on employment, we have to work in tandem with other government agencies to make sure that we are ready to take advantage of those opportunities. I was just asking somebody the other day, they were telling me, I'm not too sure whether FNU has started doing any specialized training on people that do with these electronic, or what do you call those cars that have fuel and electricity at the same time, hybrid. Do we have any qualifications that people do with hybrid? Are we developing qualifications that people that are more focused on solar or wave or all of these other things? So we have to start making sure that we can develop people in our industries that can be there to tap onto the new industries that come online. That's going to be some of the challenges that we have. We as a nation can benefit tremendously from such opportunities. However, we need to keep in mind that any transition to green economies must be a just transition. Because in this, when people are in danger of losing their jobs, they might be willing to take any job, even though the pay is very low, so that they can, or even though it's very unsafe. So the issue of just transition in this time is very important. As we launch today our operational plan and 5-year strategic development plan, we need to keep in mind that an effective plan requires risk management and strategies to properly manage future events. Managing risks is a critical part of our planning to enable us to be resilient and to bounce back very quickly when challenged by these risks. These global scenarios and labor market dynamics I have mentioned call for effective and sustainable planning. And it is my hope that the operational plan for 2018 and 2019 and the 5-year strategic development plan launched today will become the platform for effective and sustainable planning, but not only planning, very importantly for execution and for improvement. Always for improvement. And that's why ISO 9000 becomes important. Because ISO 9000 is a system that systematizes, that makes us, that forces us to improve continuously. That's what ISO 9000 does. Both these plans have been aligned to the Fijian government's 20-year strategic development plan, as well as anticipating the global labor market dynamics over the next 5 years. Our operational plan will see more emphasis towards data collection, not only data collection, but converting that data into information and into knowledge that we can use to review our policies and to improve our performance. More emphasis towards data collection and risk management, with a particular focus on growing labor mobility and volunteerism, particularly among the young, women, the elderly, and individuals who are physically challenged. We have a total budget of 16.7 billion in this new financial year, and this is a slight growth from the last financial year. Also, our 5-year strategic development plan incorporates our strategic areas of intervention whilst maximizing the benefits from the global labor market dynamics. As we talk about planning, plans and execution, customer service and improvements is also important to remain relevant and sustainable. To assist in our customer-focused service delivery, our ministry has been benchmarking our processes to global best practices. Since 2008, our mediation services has been benchmarked to the Singapore Mediation Center, where our mediators have been professionally trained and accredited on an annual basis. Today, we will recognize our newly accredited mediators that have successfully attained the Singapore Mediation Center accreditation. So to all of them, congratulations in advance. We have also been benchmarking our operational management systems to the ISO 9001-2008 Quality Management System since the year 2014. Today, I'm happy to announce that our ministry has successfully upgraded our quality management system to the latest version of ISO 9001-2015. Congratulations to all of you, all of the staff members, for this achievement, for this milestone achievement, and also for being the very first in government to be ISO 9001-2015 standard accredited. Give yourselves another hand. And this is what I keep telling you, once the standard is achieved, the challenge is to make it a part of the way you do things normally. That is going to be the challenge. It has to be integrated into the way we do things so that we normally do it all the time. When that happens, that Kaizen, that continual improvement will automatically happen. Huh? You find something wrong, you check your SOP, you improve it, automatically you get this continuous improvement. So that's what I hope to see in the future. On that note, we hope to be able to re-enter the Business Excellence Journey, the program that is carried out by NTPC, and we compete for excellence in doing business so we can also help others in that journey. Once again, I congratulate everyone, including our tripartite partners, members, and the ILO for this continuous improvement journey and for coming together to celebrate with us on these achievements. Minagwa level, thank you, Danyabad, and best wishes to all.
That was it.